You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to Phoenix 92.5 FM. This is the Wrestling Rewind. My name is Darragh O'Connor. This is the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans that don't hate wrestling. We are kind of recording this at an interesting time. So I don't know when this is going to drop. It is obviously going to go up on Phoenix FM relatively soon. But I don't know when it's going to drop up on the feed because we're a little bit behind. But it is literally the Friday before CM Punk returns to WWE. So... So we're going to talk about that.
So you must be listening to this in 2026.
2026 when he's in the Hall of Fame. But no, so we are going to talk about that real quick. My name is Darragh O'Connor, as I said, but I'm not alone. I am joined by the one, the only, Mr. 1-0, Martin Hardy. How are things, Martin?
What is the crack, Darragh? I'm good. I'm up here in Belfast, nice and safe. I'm worried for you down in Dublin.
I mean, how the tables have turned.
It used to be us that had the moniker for rioting, but now you lads are catching up.
Apparently, we borrowed your water cannons as well.
He's dead, yeah.
So
see, that's concerning me because now the rioters up here will know that there's no water cannons.
Oh man, it's wild. Yeah. So if you're not in Dublin, or actually. I mean, it's gone global. If you're not in, I was going to say, if you're not in Dublin, you probably haven't heard of it, but you probably have because it's on everywhere. So while the rest of the world, or America adjacent world, were celebrating Thanksgiving and having a good old time with turkey. By the way, Thanksgiving's a phenomenal holiday. I don't know if you ever celebrate it, but it's like Christmas without the stress. And Patrick's Day without the drinking.
I had the Canadian one.
Ah, yes.
So I know it's at a different time, but
Yes.
I'm led to believe that it's broadly similar.
It's lovely. I think it's I think it's quite nice. The food pretty good, and American football. It's like Christmas without the presents and Patrick's Day without the drinking.
There's no Thanksgiving presents or anything like that.
No. They literally just do the food thing, I believe.
And no drinking either.
Well, not a little bit, but they wouldn't go fierce at it like we would.
Ah, I remember I had in the Canadian one I had pumpkin pie, which was
I never had here, right? So I was going over to the States for work, and it was during this time of year, so that's how I got Thanksgiving, right? And your one behind me spent 5 hours talking about pumpkin pie, literally the entire flight, and I didn't have pumpkin pie. I was devastated.
It wasn't great. I was a bit disappointed that there was no. That thing where they put marshmallows on top of sweet potatoes.
Yams.
Yams, is that what they call it?
Yeah, they're called yams, yeah.
Mad. So I was kind of interested to try that.
Well, it's America. Everything has to have sugar on it. Come
on. Well, the other North American, because I think this is in Canada as well, sort of festive delicacy that I had was eggnog. And that is one of the most repulsive things I've ever had in my mouth, and that is a ropey list to begin with. So.
Eggnog is a unique thing which I don't really understand. Our American listeners, we mean no harm by this. It's just a true statement. That's weird as all heck.
We're not slagging you. We're just concerned for you.
Yeah, it's like when you put green into Guinness for some reason. It's like, don't do that. That's weird, man.
This is an intervention.
Yeah, it's like, that's weird.
Stop that.
Or as they say in Dublin, leave it out.
Leave her out.
Exactly, yeah. Because Yeah, there's no need. But yes, well, the rest of the American adjacent world we're having a good time and watching the football as they call it over there and having turkey. Dublin was burning itself to the ground. Um, so
Classic.
just man, here's the thing, right? So I was going to see a film, because like it was like a Thursday, and I was like, right, I'll book a film for 6:30, and then I'll go see it. And as I'm going into Dublin, I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. And then I start seeing, obviously you hear about what happened and blah blah blah, and then I'm like, great, maybe I should probably leave. So it was a movie called Thanksgiving about a slasher movie, like
Oh,
a slasher movie. So it's like some like pilgrim slasher guy. I don't really know because I haven't seen it. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should leave Dublin just in case something happens. And literally as I'm leaving, I'm watching Twitter and I'm like, oh my god, I made the right decision. So yeah, hopefully everyone who's listening is safe and that. But yeah, I mean, America, we had a very interesting Thanksgiving. So you know what? Maybe Ireland should do Thanksgiving just so this doesn't happen again. We're like, everyone is too drunk to do anything like that. Let's just have a good time. So I'm going to say that Ireland should have Thanksgiving where just so this doesn't happen again, in my opinion.
I can't. I just can't envisage any Irish family sitting around the table telling each other what they're thankful for.
That's what I'm saying.
I just see that going immediately wrong.
They're probably thankful for the pint of Guinness.
I'm thankful for you shutting up. I can see stuff like that kicking off.
That's true. Or okay, how about this? How about we officially do Love Day?
No, yeah. Something not so lame.
Everyone okay with Love Day? Yeah. So maybe Ireland should do Love Day.
Yeah.
On that time, just
that could be cool because Oscoilga, that'd be something like Gra La.
Yeah, Gra La. It's perfect. Right to self.
Gra. I don't know. My Irish grammar isn't great.
My check should be in the post Irish government. I'd appreciate that.
For the Gra La.
For the Gra La. I'm just saying. I'm just I mean, probably not a bad idea to have some kind of public holiday on that day so everyone can have a good time and not do what happened there, because that was genuinely terrifying.
Well, actually, it would be something backwards. So it would have to be, because I don't think you can call it something like Love Day, Oscoilga. It would have to be like Day of Love. So it would literally be La na Gra.
La na Gra, yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Oh, yeah, God, we need to market that.
I tell you, I mean, absolutely. Like, I'm okay with the checks being sent. Just saying. So there you go. Do that.
Any of our fans want to celebrate Lorna Gra? Send us a Lorna Gra fiver on
Lorna Gra. So I have a funny story. So speaking of which, right? So we do have a Patreon. It is there. You can go to wrestlingrewind.com and it'll take you to our Patreon as well, right? But so Horrendo were on a tour and we were over somewhere in Bristol. I don't know, man. We were very drunk pretty much the entire time, and we were in a hostel and we ended up there's. As you know, CJ's a wrestling fan, and our new drummer's a wrestling fan as well. So there's 4 out of 6 of us are wrestling fans. So a lot of wrestling comments happen. And our new drummer, Matthew, said something about X-Pac, and I'm like, wait a minute, here's my chance. And I'm like, Matt, what? How does X-Pac's theme music start? And he's like, oh, it starts going X-Pac. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Let me tell you. So I was like, it actually makes some noise. And that's why he said it in all his promos. He goes, oh my God, I never realized that. I'm like, no, you didn't. But now you owe me an X-Pac euro.
Bang. I'll be sitting by the door waiting for my 50 cent.
That's it. You're cut. So when you go see Horrenda next time, Martin, you're like, hey, you owe me 50 cent, buddy.
You're gonna knock the top off this pint for me.
So there you go. I mean, to this day, random people still don't know that X-Pac's theme starts with "Make Some Noise."
That's it. And if you didn't know that, get on WrestlingRewind.com and you can see that you owe us an X-Pac euro.
And we would appreciate it because, I mean, the lights need to be kept on here. We're providing this essential service, which is telling. Because here's the thing. I mean,
we need to hire a bodyguard for Darragh now when he's going to the cinema. Like,
oh my God,
it all adds up.
It all adds up. It all adds up. Getting into Dublin is easy. Getting out, it's like Escape from New York. You need like Snake Plissken, you know. And again, if people don't know that movie, one, why are you listening to a show that goes back into the 90s? But also, we're getting old. But as a good movie, but that's the. I don't think they did 3 movies, so this could be the 3rd one. Escape from Dublin.
Yeah, it was Escape from New York, Escape from LA was the other one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Escape from Dublin.
Escape from Dublin. But here, speaking of Thanksgiving,
yes.
Do you think CM Punk had a good Thanksgiving or
a
bad Thanksgiving?
So as I said, I'm going to be extremely thankful. When tomorrow, which is going to be Saturday, I'm going to like stay up. I'm going to watch the show, and when he arrives, I will be so thankful because he'll be home. It'll be awesome, and I'm not at all deluded. But I don't know, man. I mean, look, okay, right. So I literally before we went on air, there's a channel called Pro Wrestling Bits, and he actually dropped this documentary, the CM Punk AEW Insanity is worse than we thought. So it's a full like deep dive history of CM Punk's run in AEW. So I'm gonna link that in the show notes because it is actually quite good. And I'm happy to show it, and it's like, man, this is like insane. But all joking aside, and I'm going to put this on record as well, because this is like source of truth here, right? Do you believe that CM Punk will show up in Survivor Series? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
Okay. Well, before I give the answer, one wee tidbit I noticed is that apparently they have re-released Cult of Personality on Spotify.
They have.
Now, I don't think Punk's going to show up, so I think that's just a cheeky bit of a marketing, like get people to download it or buy it or whatever. I don't think he's showing up.
Okay.
That's not to say that I don't think he'll ever end up in WWE. I think at this stage, if he wants to end his career wrestling, it's pretty much the only option he has. The issue is that right now, I don't think WWE need him. They seem to have their stories pretty much set out, kind of at least up to WrestleMania. So maybe in a post Roman Reigns landscape, when they're looking to bring in, new people to take on whoever the champion is, I think you'd be more likely to see him come in then. But right now, I think they'd be mad. Like they're flying high right now. They're selling out buildings left, right, and center. They're getting massive TV deals. They've obviously got all the Saudi blood money. Like there's no significant bump that he can give to business, but he comes with a significant risk to business. So maybe post WrestleMania, but as for Survivor Series, I just don't see it happening.
I mean, that's the logical sense. but Punk.
Yeah, like again, never underestimate just how much this man will let spite influence him.
I mean, this man runs on spite. Like that's it, nothing else. Okay, are you familiar with Darragh Bane from Cultor?
No.
So Darth Bane was Darth Zion. Sorry, Darth Zion was one of the Sith Triumphant in Cold War 2, Knights of the Republic 2, which is a phenomenal game, the best bit of Star Wars media ever made, right? And basically, he was too angry to die. He refused to die. His hate kept him alive, right? And that's it. He existed fully on hate. And I fundamentally believe that's CM Punk.
Well, now he's actually gotten himself into a fantastic spite loop. So he can go to he can go to WWE and he can fall out with them, and out of spite he can go back to AEW, and then he can fall out with them, and out of spite he can go back to WWE.
I don't know. I'm still hoping that he just ends up on Impact. Just shows up.
It might be the only place that that'll take him.
But with no control, like that's the problem because I don't want them to hurt Impact. I want them to show up and just be like, hey, and then like leave like Will Ospreay did. Because if he's there a long time, it's just like, you know, he'll just hurt TNA, which I don't want. But like, I don't know, man. I mean, you are right, and I think your approach is like the most logical, well thought out idea. But Punk, you know, you know, all joking aside, I could come here and you know, joke around and so on. Yeah, we will, but realistically, I think there's like a 15% chance. And the reason why I said it is because like, yeah, there's loads of like stupid like hints and stuff that have happened. It's in Chicago. It makes sense. Roman Reigns is out for a while. There's talks of AJ Styles coming back. I know they have Randy Orton coming back as well. I think that's the reason why they brought Orton in is so people aren't disappointed that Punk isn't going to show up. Like, it makes more sense that he won't. And
that was really clever because if I was there expecting the return of CM Punk, I think I would be placated by the return of the most boring man in wrestling. So that's definitely a fair swap.
No, maybe, but I mean, it's a big name. You know, it's like
it is. Yeah.
You know, they needed something, and you know, I don't think Orton has long left in the wrestling world. Anyway, you know, I think he was told he's pretty much almost retired. You know, but they're playing a very dangerous game. You know, and it's like if he comes out, it'll be the biggest pop in history. Biggest pop in history. But it's still, I still like, I just don't see it, but also I do see it, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I can see it happening, but also it's so WWE for him to be like, nah. But then again, Vince isn't booking this. Vince isn't even involved. He probably won't even be there, which is also very weird to think about. So, you know, Triple H could just be like, yeah, let's just do it.
If he does appear, and again, because Survivor Series, I know it's in Chicago, but I mean, it has its gimmicks. There's 2 War Games matches happening on it. You know, it's like it's got the return of Orton. It's fairly, and these WWE pay-per-views, they're kept fairly short now. So I think it has
PLEs
or PL. I'm not using that to speak nonsense. But if, like I say, I think if he shows up,
I nearly got you to say it.
Nearly. I think if he shows up, it's going to be post-Mania. But if he were to show up pre-Mania, I think most likely would be the Royal Rumble. At which case, I'd have my fingers crossed, my toes crossed, my legs crossed, saying, please have Punk win the Royal Rumble and take away Cody's Mania spot, and I will never stop laughing. I will die laughing. So or would it be funnier for Punk to come back and for The Rock to show up? The Rock to take Punk's. I can't decide which is funnier.
The only thing, again, what you've said is correct, but the only thing that really suggests that he isn't going to show up, where would he go? You know, like at what, like, I know Shinsuke Nakamura has been like calling some guy out, but Shinsuke isn't on the card.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a match. So is it going, like, if Shinsuke walks out and calls someone out, well then yeah, probably that's when it's going to happen, right? Because who else is going to call out? Unless it's AJ Styles, which we've already seen, but it still would be pretty cool. It's not like there's a mystery partner. Now what they could do is they could, you know, Jey Uso or Sami could get beaten up backstage, and they do the old Sabu thing in the Extreme Elimination Chamber where he gets beaten up and you never see him again. So they could do that, but I think it's more likely that nothing happens and it goes off air and people get upset online. That's probably the most likely scenario.
Do you think if he doesn't, because all the talk I've seen, like all the discourse on Survivor Series, is 97% Punk. Like nobody's talking about the War Games matches.
No, nobody cares. Everybody just wants Punk.
Nobody's on about any of the other matches.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm 100% watching the show to see CM Punk show up.
Yeah, like, so if he, one, do you think fans are going to hijack the show? And two, if he doesn't show up, like, are we looking at a bit? And like, I'm no fan of WWE, but this wouldn't even be their fault because they haven't said he's coming. If he doesn't show up, are we looking at a bit of a disaster here?
I think we're looking like Dublin on Thanksgiving.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! But no, I mean, yeah, I think they've set up a no-win situation here, which is why it's like, yeah, they probably will get Punk because it's like you kind of have to. You've walked yourself into the situation where you haven't promised someone, but you kind of have, but you kind of haven't. So
it just does it just go to show like how detrimental a figure he is? That he's not even there. They never said he was coming. It's like he's got nothing to do with this show, and this show is going to tank because of him if he doesn't show up. Like he's kryptonite. He's just,
it's amazing. I don't know how he does it. Like he is just this like entity.
Simultaneously, now I think this is a bit.
Okay, sorry. Hold the thought for 1 second.
Yeah,
in KOTOR 2 as well, there's a figure called Darth Nihilus who consumes planets by sucks the energy out. So he's two of them. Sorry, go on.
But like it is actually kind of true because there's a section of the fan base in AEW, and again, I think this is a bit of cope, who are convinced that the devil is going to be Punk. And I'm like, lads, he was publicly fired on television, like
for assault.
For assault. No, not even for his latest assault. Was publicly fired. Like, it's not Punk. Stop convincing yourself that everything is Punk. And I get the feeling these lads go to like a restaurant and they go, "Oh, just bring us out the soup of the day," whatever it is, and they're sitting there going, "Oh my god, I bet you it's Punk. I bet you it's Punk coming out with the soup of the day." Lads, not everything is Punk.
But it's kind of like when when Homer's going mad with Mo. It's like, Mo, I need more money. And they're probably like, Punk. Mom, I need Punk money. Oh my god. No, look, I mean, it is credit to him really that he's able to like hold the entire wrestling world hostage by not doing anything, by just sitting there, and no one else, I'm sorry, no one else in the history of wrestling has been able to do that. Doesn't even have to be there, and is already the only thing people are talking about. I mean, look, again, the only reason why I'm going to be watching the show tomorrow is CM Punk. If he doesn't show up, I'm legitimately going to be upset.
And it's not as if he's even hitting at it. He's not like sitting on his Instagram or his Twitter or whatever, teasing people that he might do. He says nothing.
He was posting comments from Dr. Doom a little while ago.
Oh, was that a reference? I saw he put up a picture of the devil, like when this rumor started going around that he was gonna turn out to be the devil in AEW. So I could see him winding people up that way, but it's wild. It's wild.
Oh man! Look again though. If he doesn't show up, I will be very annoyed. I won't be annoyed actually, because that's silly. I'll be disappointed. I'll be like, oh,
yeah.
It'd be like, oh, that would have been cool. But I mean, I also want Cody Rhodes to be Stardust again. So, I mean,
well,
what do I know?
You're one step closer. On the cover of the Survivor Series poster, he's wearing face paint. So that's.
And he did an interview about it. He said he had PTSD from Stardust. And it was like, bro, you got paid millions of dollars to put face paint on. Stop. Just stop it. You got a stupid tattoo on your neck for free. I mean, that's so much worse. I mean, that's being realistic. It's like the face paint washes off. That tattoo is never going anywhere. So, I mean, I just don't like Cody Rhodes. I'm just, if this is your first time, this goes, Jesus, that was very harsh there. I'm like, it was.
That was if you're listening to that and you said that was very harsh, Darragh, then you're definitely a first-time listener. 'Cause very mild by some of the lengthy rants Darragh has let off about Cody Rhodes.
That's fair. That's very fair. But see, that was unprovoked though. There was no reason for it. I just, whenever I see his face, I just, oh, it's like, I just, yeah, I hate Cody Rhodes. Oh my god, he's like the worst thing. He needs to do. He needs to have his own wrestling promotion where he's the only one in it.
Just
him.
Cody Rhodes wrestling.
Just Cody Rhodes wrestling. By the way, did you hear about this? Speaking of news, now it's a little bit old, but it is fascinating. So TNA is obviously making its comeback, and WWE is launching NXT now. They're going back on the same network. I think it's the CW. So there's NXT and SmackDown, I think, are moving over to the CW. But NWA, not NWA. It was NWA. Yeah, NWA, owned by Billy Corgan.
Yes.
We're supposed to have they're supposed to have 2 shows on the CW, right? It looks like those deals are dead in the water because of an incident that happened on the Samhain pay-per-view.
God.
Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
So folks, this actually happened. This is not a bit. This is really it. So NWA have a pay-per-view called Samhain, which is obviously, their Halloween pay-per-view. And Father James Mitchell was doing a segment. And he wasn't wrestling because he doesn't wrestle. Never has. And there were like ladies of the night around him and all that kind of stuff. And apparently at one point, one of them did drugs. Like, I don't know if it's real drugs or whatever, doesn't really matter, but simulated doing drugs on stage. And the network saw this and it went viral, and apparently they've lost the deal. So Billy Corgan, in the space of a week, got a phenomenal deal and then threw it away for a spot that nobody saw on a random pay-per-view that nobody bought.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Nobody.
Nobody. I mean, I can't even name one match on it.
I can see the kind of twisted logic in doing it, in that let's do this mad cocaine spot, and it'll get memed and gifted, and it'll get people talking about NWA and talking about the pay-per-view and all that. He definitely took there's no such thing as bad publicity approach to it, but unfortunately, particularly now in the era of social media and cancellations and all that, there very much is such a thing as bad publicity. And yeah,
he experienced it.
He seemed to walk right into that one.
And the worst part about it is, it wasn't like, so some people have compared this to when TNA lost their deal because they said that Vince Russo wasn't booking it, and then they sent an email to the wrong people and saying Vince Russo was booking it. Apparently it went to Mike Johnson instead of Mike Tenay, which is still hilarious. So like that was one thing, that was one mess up, but apparently this was actually booked and approved by Billy Corgan himself.
Yeah, like I can see it being. I mean, it kind of did the intended thing. It got people talking about NWA. Like, I've seen the GIFs of it. I've seen the clips of it.
I haven't seen the GIFs of it.
Oh yeah, it's like the camera pans over and they're all. It looks like they're in the crowd area, but they're all sitting around this circular table, and then one of them just drags his nose along the table, just rails a line.
Oh my god! Okay,
it's mad.
That's wild. I mean, look, I don't get it. I'm like, okay, but I mean, it obviously worked to an extent. We're talking about it. We don't really talk about NWA here on the show because we just, there's so much to talk about. But at the same time, it cost them this deal, which apparently was like a huge thing for NWA.
Oh, massive! Like this would be the first time they'd have been on weekly TV in, I don't even know how many years. Yeah. I know Power, when it was on YouTube, was kind of mildly successful. People kind of liked tuning in for it. It was an hour long. It was once a week. It was on YouTube, so you could watch it whenever suited you. And I think it did all right. But I mean, to make any actual money on YouTube, you have to be doing huge numbers of views.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been a big deal for them.
That's unfortunate, but that spot's now been taken by the up and comers in WWE. So let's see what happens.
So is it NXT or is it Level Up? Is
It's NXT and SmackDown apparently are going to be on CW.
CW, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a network, is it?
Yeah. So CW used to do like The Flash and Riverdale and all those kind of shows, but now they've
All the
moved over to.
classics.
Well, I mean, look, yeah, The Flash wasn't good for a while, and Riverdale is a weird. You ever watched Riverdale? That's a weird show, man. That's a weird show.
No, I do. Did it have something to do? Did they retcon it so that it turns out it actually is like a precursor to Buffy or something like that?
Sabrina.
Sabrina, is that what
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. No, I've never seen it.
It's a weird show. There's a whole actually Super Eye Patch Wolf did a whole thing on it, so it's worth watching. It's like a 2-hour documentary or something. Again, if you have,
I'd give that a go.
yeah, I mean, look, I've mentioned this stuff before. If you guys, if anyone like, I really like long form content, where like stick on a 4-hour documentary about like the movement of ants. I'll be like, hell yeah. So
Well-
that's what I kind of like,
Well,
watch.
Darragh,
Yes.
if you like long form content, what did you think of Full Gear?
There we go. Before we do, Super Eye Patch Wolf. Check that out. It's really good.
100%. And any of his videos.
Phenomenal. Genuinely phenomenal. So look, Full Gear. Yes. So, as I said, we were on tour. We were in Bristol and Cardiff, and CJ was like, "Don't check the internet. Don't." So he did not want anything spoiled for him. I immediately checked the internet. So something was spoiled immediately, and I'm like, I knew that was happening. He accidentally checked something. Something was spoiled for him. It was hilarious. I laughed. The lads laughed. We all had a good time. So in between Bristol and Cardiff, he was on the train watching this, and then in the hostel watching it and all that kind of stuff. So that was his weekend. So I was filled in from him about how good it was, and then I watched it when I got back. I liked a lot of it. Hated some of it. Really hated some of it. Really liked some of it.
This will be interesting.
Yeah. And not for the reasons that you think. Not for the reasons that you think. It wasn't that. It was because there's nothing bad on the show. It's just somebody just really didn't like, and it's entrenched my dislike of it. But some of it I really did like. I think. Look, I'm not a big fan of Hangman Adam Page, but I know, and I'm sorry.
No, I
but-
think we've been over this before. Yeah.
But we have been over. That's why I'm still sorry. But he did have genuinely the best Texas Death match of all time.
That was astonishing.
I'm annoyed that Jeff Jarrett wasn't on the main show. Should have been. Should always, as we've learned from anything from In Your House, there's no show without Jeff Jarrett, guys.
No.
The show gets worse with no Jeff Jarrett. So, I'm I'm not even joking. I'm deadly serious.
No, you're right. He was briefly on the pre-show.
He was. But that's what I'm saying. He should have been on the main show.
It's
like,
so weird. That man has such a talent for keeping himself over. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, honest to God, when he first arrived in AEW, I was like, oh my God, this is just not what we need right now. And then it came out that, he's like mostly going to be doing a backstage role. And I was like, all right, that's okay. That's no problem with that. I don't want to see him on TV. And my God, within like 2 weeks, I was like, I guess I'm a Jeff Jarrett mark. Like,
well, I mean, here's the thing, I wasn't.
Brilliant.
He's phenomenal. He really is. And I mean, I think what they should do is here. I'm going to steal a phrase from Dave Stevens, who we need to get back on soon. Where it's like, play with me here for a minute. We need to have Jeff Jarrett be the Triple H of Ring of Honor or AEW. I know some people could be like, but Darragh, he was the Triple H of TNA. Yes, he was. We'll do that again. Think about it.
Wait, what era are we talking about currently?
Oh, I don't care. Once it's Jeff Jarrett, I mean, you could have him you could have the rodeo. You could have him,
No, I mean, what era of Triple? Do you mean have him as the booker or have him as like a dominant champion who never puts anyone over?
Oh, either. I'm good with either. I mean, Jeff Jarrett's reign of terror was phenomenal in TNA. And you haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet. So I mean, his matches with Raven are phenomenal. But I would very much like to see Jeff Jarrett have one more run with. Actually, he hasn't won the AEW or Ring of Honor belt, so that would be cool.
No, and do you know what? I actually think there would be merit in Tony Khan handing Ring of Honor to someone else to run.
Yeah, that would be class. Now,
just because it would help differentiate it, and also he has more than enough on his plate with Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage.
I mean, look, if Jeff Jarrett tries to sell you gold again, then we know it's bad. But other than that, remember when Global Force Wrestling sold gold briefly?
Oh, yeah.
That was weird. That was a weird period of time.
The history of wrestling is just.
Oh man, I mean, this is what I'm saying. For years, when we used to do the international desk, which I found the archive of again, so I'm gonna start putting them up on the feed. But the joke, no, it wasn't a joke. It was a serious thing. I'm like, when TNA folds, I'll write the book on TNA, and then that start happening where the name changed. They start selling gold. I'm like, oh god, this book's gonna be wild. And then they didn't collapse, and they're still around today. So I'm kind of glad I didn't have to write that book, because when that happens, that's gonna be a tome.
That book will never come out.
No, it won't. TNA will survive everything. It's amazing.
The intercontinental ballistic missiles will be landing all over the globe, and TNA will be going, "What's an ICBM doing in the impact zone?" It'll be a charred landscape with nothing but cockroaches. Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff, they're still booking the show.
Still booking.
Oh my god. Okay, so do you want me to go through the stuff I didn't like, or do you want to just do the show through it?
Look, we'll do the show. We'll not because it's a long show, so we'll not go into the pre-show, right? And it was good. It was had your Eddie Kingston match, always good. Claudio Castagnoli, Buddy Matthews battered the life out of each other, class.
It is.
And MJF and Samoa Joe versus the Guns for the Ring of Honor tag titles. That's kind of leading into the main event and all, so we can talk about that later. But no, man, the first match that we'll talk about properly was the 6-man between Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland, and Christian Cage's brilliantly named new group, the Patriarchy.
Okay, so straight away, I want to stop you there. I want to say that's the greatest name for a tag team ever, or triple team. It's phenomenal. Christian Cage is chef's kiss. First problem I had, Adam Copeland.
Not a fan.
No, I hate it so much. I'm getting so
That's
much.
That's just the dude's name.
I know, but I hate it so much. I'm like, could have called yourself Sharp or Edgy or anything else. But then he comes out wearing the paint. I'm like, oh, stop. It's he's like an owl lad, And I wouldn't mind. Sting is older than him, but you're like, that's Sting. Well, Adam Copeland, you're like, oh. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to watch Hardcore Justice 2007 next week. And Andrew the Punisher Martin comes out. And he was testing WWE.
Oh.
And it was like, so I'm actually in this pay-per-view, in the crowd.
Nice.
Yeah, in Impact beforehand. So I'm in a block of Impact tapings. I'm not in the pay-per-view, but you can see me in video packages and stuff. But this is what they're building up to. And when he debuts or comes out, I'm just getting proper flashbacks of this. When Adam Copeland comes out, it's like, oh, why didn't you just call yourself Edge?
I mean, I think the thing with Copeland is that
can we just call him Edge?
But he was Edge for obviously they couldn't call him Edge, but he was Edge for so long that
Edge,
and he's so well known that if he couldn't come in as Edge, you couldn't give him another gimmick. You kind of just had to let him. You kind of just had to give him his own name, because he's so synonymous as Edge that if he came in with a different gimmicked name, it would have been, I don't know, I just think it would have felt overly gimmicked. I think their only choice was to have him, appear kind of as himself.
Why is he there with Ric Flair? Ric Flair looks like he's hanging on to life.
My God, he really
He just
does.
gets older and
the best,
older.
The best, the best part is he's selling an energy drink. Man looks like he has no energy.
No.
He looks like he
So-
hasn't had energy for about 10 or 12 years.
Like, so they should have had him selling Viagra.
Yeah, they should have had Ric Flair doing lines of coke. You know,
Oh my god. So look, I mean, I liked like a lot of this match. You know, I think that the match itself was actually great, to be fair. Sting is phenomenal still. He works really well with Darby. I think they have a cool little dynamic. Darby Allin nearly killed himself. That
oh my
spot.
God.
Oh my god. I was just
The
like, what is
choke slam.
Yeah, oh my god. There was no need for that. There really wasn't.
Madness.
I mean, it was amazing, but at the same time, you're like, oh my god, you're not walking. Like, you're just not walking when you're like 40. It's not happening.
Do you know what he's at the moment?
Probably climbing a mountain, is he?
He's climbing Mount Everest.
Oh yeah, Death Wish.
He
I
left.
mean,
He left the pay-per-view after his match because he's off to some part of China or something to train with Sherpas or whatever. You know, because you have to get your body used to altitude and all that.
yes.
So he had to leave the pay-per-view to go straight to train for climbing Mount Everest. Man's a lunatic.
I mean, you could just go to Animal Kingdom and go on the roller coaster Everest. That's what I did. I had a great time. That was wonderful. Could just do that.
Yeah, and you didn't have to take
No,
a couple of months off wrestling.
no, I didn't. I just, I got to see the Yeti, go on the roller coaster, have a good time. See the animals in Animal Kingdom. It was lovely. Look, but
you didn't have to crawl past. What is it to say? There's about 500 corpses on.
oh yeah,
Mount Everest.
there's a bunch of corpses, and it's just like, you know what? And here's the thing about Mount Everest, right? Look, fair play to the first couple of lads that did it, right? But it's been done. It's like,
Yeah, and
And
it's been done by lads who didn't have like a fraction of the equipment and everything people have now. So
yeah.
like I couldn't do it, but it's not.
No, here's the thing: you could do it.
massively impressive.
No, you could do it, but why would you? It's like, I mean, it's not like there's a Starbucks up there. If a Starbucks up there, I'd probably go to it, all right. But
and the other thing that's on it that I read, as well as being littered with corpses, because all these people, obviously, you have people going up and down, and they're up and down. It takes you a few days or whatever to do it. The mountain apparently has a
poop?
tremendous amount of just solidified poop, just frozen everywhere. Like just
yeah,
you know,
lads,
there's not a porta cabin halfway up it, or
that's what I'm saying. So when you're climbing up, I did climb up Vesuvius there this year, and that was pretty neat. But they have a little cafe halfway up, and Vesuvius is actually quite hard to climb at a certain point because it does start going vertical up. But they have toilets, so that's what I'm saying. It's not like there's a Starbucks or something up the top of it where you can go in. It's like, no, you're just up the top of the mountain now. You're like, all right, I guess we go back down, lads. It's silly,
cloudy.
silly. Silly man. But Darby Allin needs to be. Maybe see a doctor.
I absolutely love him because you're guaranteed that.
But man, he's going to be crippled.
Yeah, but this is, people do this concern thing. Like, he is a grown man who is interested in climbing death mountains and skating over landmines, and
but you know what this is like?
This is the style of wrestling he does.
No,
he
but
doesn't want to go out there and do, a nice safe 6-minute technical thing. This is what he does.
But no, but you know what this is like, right? This is like when you watch a really good hardcore match. No, Rhino versus Raven, Backlash 2001, right? One of the best hardcore matches I've ever seen. And there's a line, right, where he hits him with something. and Jerry the King Lawler says, and I quote, "He's not going to remember his way home tonight." And you're like, that's hilarious. The shot was very satisfying to hear, but also CTE. Oh my God. And that's the dichotomy every time I watch a Darby Allin match. I'm like, that was awesome, but man, you're not walking tomorrow or in 10 years.
but apparently he does. I think it must be down to the fact that he's like so light or whatever that maybe it doesn't impact him as much. I don't know how he survives this stuff he does, but he seems to survive it.
But that spot was something else anyway. But the match itself was great. The faces obviously got the win, which was a little bit disappointing. I think they could have maybe pushed on a little bit more, but
yeah, well,
overall,
it kind of the way they won. So the way they won was Christian Cage went to hit. It was a Sting. I think he went to hit Sting with the belt, and Sting was being held by Luchasaurus, and he ducked. The Christian Cage hit Luchasaurus. Adam Copeland jumps into the ring, so he's 1-on-1 with Christian, and Christian just bails, just like leaves his teammates in the ring and runs off backstage with his belt. So that's all building up to like stories that are continuing. So look, like no one's going to call it a technical masterpiece, but it was a good, fun match with big names, big characters, big stars to open the pay-per-view. I thought it did a tremendous job at that, and I think Christian Cage he might be my favorite character in wrestling at the moment.
Oh man, Christian Cage! I can't wait for you to see like peak. Actually, Christian Cage is in the Doomsday Chamber blood match, which is in Hardcore Justice 2007.
Nice.
With Andrew the Punisher Martin. So and you get to see him in there doing this character 20 years ago. It's amazing.
Oh no, I'm really looking forward to seeing like the origin of this, because again, whenever Christian Cage came in, I was like, oh, that's nice. I remember Christian. I mean, I wouldn't have made such a big deal about him coming in, but that's pretty cool. And yeah, within a couple of weeks, he completely sold me on Christian Cage. He's like just one of my favorite characters. So we go from that into the international title match, Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. Another great match, but the main thing here was kind of, I think, the christening of Orange Cassidy as like a top player, a clean win, a very rare clean win over Jon Moxley.
Yeah, no, it absolutely made him. And the match, there was no shenanigans. It literally was a straightforward match.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was as good as their last match. Then again, I suppose it couldn't be. That was the first time anyone had ever seen them, go 1-on-1 in the ring. But still a really, really good, hard-hitting match. And like I said, the big thing there is a clean win for Orange Cassidy, who kind of has a slight quandary now in that he's beaten Jon Moxley. So he has this international title now, but he's clearly been sort of signposted for the upper tier of the company. So what does he do now? How does he get rid of that international title? Who does he drop it to? Who does
Jon Moxley feud
No,
with?
who does Orange Cassidy? Sorry, Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
Who does he?
No, I was thinking, I was like, wait, he already did. Okay, so again, to borrow from Dave, play with me here, right?
Yeah.
He has a feud with an up-and-comer, right, who has a history, but no one's seen it really in AEW yet, right? An up-and-comer that, we know a lot about. We know he's kind of shady. He's been hinted at, but we haven't actually seen him in the ring, working with new stars, building the future, right?
Okay.
Jeff Jarrett.
I was sitting there, I was like, he's either going to say CM Punk or Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, God.
Right, so I think we might be getting on to... Now, I'm just guessing because I genuinely love this, but I think we might be getting on to one of the things you didn't like on the show. What was your take on Timeless Tony Storm taking the women's title off Hikaru Shida?
I was very upset.
Right. Tell me. Explain.
Well, look, I really like Tony Storm's new gimmick. I think it's amazing. Like, it actually is probably one of my favorite women's gimmick ever. But I was still sad.
Are you a Shida fan?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah. So, I mean, at one point, like that aside, I think Tony Storm chasing with her promos and her whole thing, it makes more sense to her to just miss out. Where she's like, "Oh no, I should be champion now." But now, like, I can see it open up where she's like, "Okay, I'm the champion," and she can really, really play up her character. But at the same time, it's like, Sheeta's so cool. Probably should have held on to it for a little bit longer, but I get why it was done.
I'm the same.
And the match was good. And the match was good too. So, I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah. Oh no, the match was really good. I particularly liked the ending where she did her hip attack, but she had like a pan down the arse of her gear.
Yes. Well, I mean, look, it's that silliness kind of plays up to it, and I mean, it's Toni Storm's career is like actually almost saved with this gimmick. She wasn't bad, but it's really like solidified her as someone who I'm like, I love everything you do.
Oh yeah, look, AEW has it's wall to wall with people who are great wrestlers. Being a great wrestler doesn't distinguish you in AEW anymore. Like it's,
no, it doesn't.
Being a great wrestler is the bare minimum you need for getting in. So yeah, this was definitely a case of a kind of a character triumphing over you know, an in-ring star like Sheeta. But I'm with you. I absolutely love this character. I think the stuff she can do with the title is brilliant. So on Dynamite, she set up this thing where it was like the Oscars, and they were calling out the women's champion. You know, they had some of the backstage announcers come out and do like an Oscar introduction and open up the envelope to see who the champion was. And it was Toni Storm, and then it panned to her sitting in the audience, and she's like, "Oh my god!" Like it's just, it's ridiculous, but it suits her and it suits this character so well.
Absolutely, it's one of those things where you're like, will this work? And you're kind of doubtful, but she's really knocked it out of the park. And look, again, I mean, it's we didn't have too many title changes. Sorry, we didn't have too many. We didn't have too many like big shocks of the night, and this title change was kind of one of them for me because I was like, no, they're not going to do it now. But when it happened, I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, no, I was like I say, I'm also a big Hikaru Shida fan, but I wasn't gutted by this.
Yeah. The next match, I don't know. I mean, I like ladder matches. I like multi-man ladder matches, but I just wasn't invested in this for some reason. I kept waiting for myself to be invested in it, and I just kind of wasn't. Why?
Well, so I can't say why when you were watching it live. I can say that the reason nobody talks about it now, because personally I thought this was phenomenal. And going into it, I wasn't mega hyped because there hadn't been a particularly great build for it or anything. But
maybe that's probably what it was.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge...
I still haven't figured out exactly why.
Yeah, this is very much a case of the guys on the night made this.
Yeah.
But I think the problem or the reason it gets overlooked in hindsight is because, 12 minutes after this match ended, you had Swerve Strickland and
that could be
Page.
But you know what it could... Do you know Armageddon 2006 where he just made the ladder match on the night? And the one thing everybody talks about is Joey Mercury's face exploding.
Oh, God, yeah.
maybe that's kind of what happened here, where the blood drinking that happens 12 minutes later overshadowed the whole thing. Yeah.
For anyone, by the way, who hasn't seen the Joey Mercury clip, good, don't.
But
it's
but if you want to get a reaction about it, you can listen to the podcast.
Yes.
On the archive, where we talk about how horrendous it was.
Keep that level of removal. It's like the sun. Don't look at it directly.
It is the most manky thing you can see.
It is.
Like, it really is.
Just horrendous.
His face just explodes completely. Instantly.
Oh, just concaves. It's horrific.
It really is. Poor guy.
It's a pity that this match got so overshadowed because it is phenomenal. There's a load of, and it's like everything that's been done with a ladder, you'd think has been done. Like you'd think there could be no more ladder spots, but there's actually 2 or 3 spots in this that miraculously I've never seen before. Like they really, now I hope they don't do another ladder match for a while, but they really breathed life back into the ladder match stipulation with this match. All 4 teams went hell for leather.
I do love a good ladder match. I think a ladder match like this is probably one of my favorite matches to watch.
Yeah, I think like there was a lot of like the big spots, the diving off, outside the ring onto ladders and smashed through ladders, and Brody King did an insane pile driver through a ladder. But I think my favorite spot of the night was Malachi Black was leaning on the ropes, facing away, facing out, facing away from the inside of the ring, and there was also a ladder leaning against the ropes, and Ricky Starks comes sliding into the ring from the other side, and he bounces off the ropes on his side, and he's running towards Malachi, who can't see him because his back's turned, and Malachi just does this thing where he doesn't even turn around. The timing was sensational. He just yanks on the top rope and it bounces the ladder forward, sends it straight into Ricky Stark's face. It was incredible. But that was a spot in like a match full of ladder spots. But like I say, slightly overshadowed. Before we get to the big one, Julia Hart defeated Chris Statlander and Sky Blue for the TBS Championship. Again, a good match. Not like by the standards of this pay-per-view was probably overshadowed a wee bit, but a really solid match, particularly from the likes of Julia Hart and Sky Blue, who are, still sort of up and coming. And hopefully it means Chris Statlander will be kind of moving into the women's championship orbit, because she's been a phenomenal TBS champion.
Absolutely. I think Chris Statlander needed the bit of a break, and it frees up now to go for Toni Storm, which I think is what they're going to do.
Yeah, and that's the level she needs to be at. And this TBS title run will do wonders for the likes of Julia Hart and Sky Blue, who have, in the past year, they have improved in leaps and bounds.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and they're still relatively young as well, so
the future
is
Julia Hart's like 20, 22, 23, ridiculously young.
Yeah, and Sky Blue's 24, I believe. So
yeah,
this is kind of what they need, to really, really build this up, So the next match, I think, was what everyone was talking. Well, there's 2 things everyone was talking about from this pay-per-view. One was the worst thing that's happened to AEW since CM Punk leaving, and the other is, and I mean this in a good way. The other is how manky this spot was. I mean, drinking blood is pretty gross. I would not recommend it.
But not even drinking blood sometimes they do spots where they'll lick the blood off their fists or whatever. Like this was like drinking blood like you drink milk directly out of a cow. Like that's fresh from the source. Fresh from the source. It was probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. It was, but I thought it was one of the best examples I've seen in years of in-ring storytelling. But Abdullah the Butcher kind of ruined this for everybody with the hepatitis. When you see this kind of stuff, you're like, blood and wrestling, it's awesome, and these kind of stuff, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I'm like, oh lads, you better all be tested, like legitimately, because this is how hepatitis happens. So for anyone listening, it was Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page, Texas Death Match. For a full half hour, these 2 lads beat the hell out of each other in just the most incredible, intricate, thoughtful, beautiful display of gory, spiteful, insane violence you've ever seen.
So do you think? So do you think? So I was watching Impact the other day, and Tommy Dreamer was there defending the belt that he made up, and he's still called the innovator of violence. I don't think he can be called that anymore.
I think Hangman is definitely the king of the Texas Death Match.
Yeah, but I mean, surely Tommy Dreamer should show up wearing his T-shirt. I mean, like, I challenge
hand
you.
it over.
Hand over the belt and be like, here you go. That would be cool. I mean, TK should book that.
Yeah,
I'd watch it.
like there's,
you know, that's who
he's still with Impact, isn't he?
He is, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I was watching the other day and he was bleeding all over the place.
Fair play to him. He knows what he's good at. He sticks with it. Here, so Darragh,
yes.
Your thoughts on the match, but also, is Swerve Strickland the next AEW champion?
I think so. I think he's definitely top of the card now. Like very much top of the card. I think bringing in Sting Blade has opened up. It's weird, right? So the AEW's top of the card was supposed to be one way, and then we all know why it wasn't. And then it was supposed to be another way, and we all know why it wasn't. So they kind of had to like reset, and bringing in Jay White was phenomenal. Like, he's great. I really, really do like Sting Blade an awful lot, right? But with him losing to MJF in the way that he lost, that's going to continue on. That story's not done, not by a long shot. But they still had to establish like what's going to happen afterwards. And you know, you can't just keep going back with the Jerichos, the Hangman Pages, the John Moxleys, because I mean that man needs a vacation at some point.
Oh my god!
You know,
and here
really
not only needs one himself. Like I love him. He's amazing, but I would kind of like to not see him for a couple of months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then when
like,
he comes back,
it's
hyped.
a big deal. Yeah, exactly. It's a big deal, you know. And I mean, it's funny. So they need to kind of have this bank of guys who you actually buy, and it's funny because Ring of Honor have that. I mean, Eddie Kingston is the champion there, right? But you know, he has a group of challengers who can just step in, and that just doesn't really exist right now for the AEW World Championship in a real sense. And I think this is the first kind of step with this reset where, right, Strickland is going to be a name when he goes against whoever the champion is. That's going to be a money match, and he'll probably win it. Like, I mean, I would really like to see Jay White and Strickland for the belt.
Oh,
in about a year.
And
I think that's going to be your main event for All Out next year.
I think really that's a good shout. Like, we'll talk about it more when we get to the main event, but I definitely
for sure.
I definitely don't think Jay White's done.
No, he's not by a long shot. No, but I would say the smart money is on either one of those guys being in that main event or that being the actual main event.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. Look, we go quickly over the tag team match because I know what it is you want to talk about. The Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. Look, 4 of the best ever in the ring for 20 minutes. A great match. Love the wee turn at the end. I'm delighted to see petty, jealous, spiteful Young Bucks back. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, they never left anywhere. They were getting chairs thrown at them.
But I mean, even just as characters, they kind of been baby faces for a while, and I think the Young Bucks really only work as baby faces.
Not the Punk.
No, not the Punk. But I'd say Punk's list of people I consider baby faces, you know, it's probably his wife, his dog, and Danhausen.
Oh, FTR.
And FDR, he likes FDR, yeah. And Bret Hart, and that's
it. And that's it.
That's it. So yeah, I'm glad to see the Bucks back as heels again. I think they're always far more fun as heels. But
yes.
Yeah,
no, they are. I mean, it you know what? And it is very hard to be an interesting face in wrestling. It's a lot easier to be a heel I mean, as much as I love Triple H, he's so much better being a heel. Being a face, it's not the same. So it's very much
Oh
the
yeah.
same here. Yeah.
Yeah, great match here. What do you think of the Golden Jets versus the Young Bucks?
I really like the Golden Jets. I think this suits Jericho down to the ground with Omega. I mean, because Omega is a personality vacuum, so having him in there with Jericho, who like he's like a heater. Because look, Kenny Omega is one of the best wrestlers in the world, like legitimately. But whatever it is about his personality, it's just like I don't know, it's just weird. But having him in there with Jericho really helped him because Jericho's like all personality all the time. So they really kind of worked off each other, and it was just like a nice campy throwback. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and then Omega
Like,
can do all the incredible in-ring stuff, and
exactly, and Jericho's just there, nah, nah, nah. It's just brilliant. It just works so well. So I think that's phenomenal, and it was a stroke of genius, like genuinely. Um, the books, look, the books are the books. I mean, even though what they did to Punk, I'm not a big fan of, and etc. etc. In the ring, phenomenal tag team. I even liked them in Generation Me. So what can you say? This match was 20 minutes of them going in, having a good L time, and while simultaneously being a good match, it was also a nice cool down to get everyone ready for the main event.
it was. Now, the main event, which you have eloquently described as the worst thing to happen to AEW since Punk.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Oh, I hated it so much. I'm over MJF completely. I love his stuff with Adam Cole. I think that's great. They should go off and never appear again. Jay White should have won. Should have won. He is the future of that company. And I was devastated because I'm like, you hurt me again. Do not.
I partly agree. I think I could see what they were doing. Like they're really pushing this. MJF is now a full-on white meat babyface thing.
And apparently, Sling Blade is also really pissed off with them because he's like, "What was that?" So
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna mess up again, TK. What are you doing? You don't know who you have. You have literally New Japan's biggest talent in years, and you just threw it away. What are you doing?" So,
yeah.
and look, I know some people who haven't seen his New Japan stuff or even his stuff in Impact are like, "Oh, what's the big deal?" I'm like, "Oh, you don't get it. He's a big deal. Like Okada, big deal." And you just let him job out to Cena.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying, I can see what they're pushing with MJF, but I think on this night they pushed too far. I think you could have achieved the same thing. Like you could have achieved a sort of a heroic underdog MJF, guts and glory, fighting his way, against the odds. I think he could have done that without going quite so over the top. I don't think I wouldn't be quite as apocalyptic as you in my reaction to it. Like I say, Jay White's he's in the Continental Classic now. I think he's going to do very well in it. And like you were saying earlier, I think he's primed big time for next year. Like and
that's kind of what's carrying me through. I mean, it's very easy to be apocalyptic, and sometimes it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's just like I do see what they're doing. It's just kind of like, maybe it's just the time of year where they don't want to blow it just yet. They want to kind of hold on to it. But I when I saw the reports of Jay White being upset, I'm like, yeah, I'd be upset too.
It did go, yeah. It went a wee bit too far. Like I was sitting here going, oh my, like Jay White kind of has to win now. Like MJF's hobbling around the ring. Now I know that there was interference and that MJF won in the end with the the diamond ring. Like it wasn't like
it wasn't like a straight
clean or anything. So it's not as bad as some people are making it out to be. But I think they went a wee bit too far on this, and I think Jay White deserved a wee bit better. That said, though, the actual match itself was really good.
It was. No, the match was really good. It was a nice kind of like showcase for the two of them. I just think MJF, he's the Miz, man. He's the Miz.
It
And
risks.
it's becoming more and more like the Miz every time I see him, and that's not a good thing.
It risks going that way. I wouldn't have said the Miz. I would have said more Super Cena. But I know what you mean. It risks going that way if you push this thing too far. Again, the only kind of saving grace I have is that I suspect that the reason they're making him such an over-the-top babyface is so that when the turn comes, that it's all the more shocking.
That's fair.
Overall, what would you give the pay-per-view?
Letter grade or rating?
Whatever. Tell us what's in your heart.
I would go for a solid. Okay, up until the surprise debut, solid B. After the surprise debut, C minus.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. That's.
And there's only one reason. There's only one reason for that, because they didn't let him debut with a talker. We now have to listen to him.
Wait, who?
The signing of Will Ospreay.
Oh my God! I completely went over the bloody. I completely missed the Will Ospreay signing. Yeah. Now he's not coming in till I think it's February when his New Japan contract is up. Man, that's huge. I kind of agree with the talking. I hope they do put him with someone, but that's a huge signing.
That's what I was referring to as the worst thing that happened in wrestling. The worst thing about the show.
Oh, I thought it was the MJF thing you didn't like.
No, that was definitely up there. But I mean, Will Ospreay coming in with his brovs is just I genuinely can't handle it.
The only thing about that I kind of reserved judgment on was that it wasn't like he didn't come in cutting a promo. He kind of just came in and said, "I've signed my contract," and he was kind of just saying hello. It wasn't like an out and out promo. But yeah, if he's coming in and he's cutting promos like that, all bruv this, bruv that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Bruv your mother.
I mean, someone just needs to sit him down and go, listen, they need to do a Conor McGregor thing on him, because McGregor was schooled how to talk to like Americans. And it's kind of weird to hear like for Irish people, but it's not like annoying, you know. Will Ospreay's annoying, genuinely annoying. And I'm like, look, you're probably the best wrestler who's done it since AJ Styles in TNA, but you're incredibly annoying. And just
it is like I kind of admire his determination to stick to his regional accent.
But McGregor didn't even do that, and he has the most like regional accent going. Like
none of the Irish, like you can tell, even the way Becky Lynch talks,
the way Becky Lynch as well. Yeah,
they have been told to slow down and clearly separate their words.
Because the way Becky speaks, she doesn't speak like no one speaks like that.
No,
at all. So I mean, they can do it. It's just with him, and I think if maybe that's why he went to AEW, because WWE were like, listen, bruv, you're gonna have to learn to speak like, you know.
You can't even learn how to speak proper, Governor.
We don't know what you're saying, you know. So, you know. No shade to any of our UK listeners. We love you all, but I just can't do the bruv thing. It drives me mad.
I could see them. You see them maybe putting them with someone.
Jericho. Put him with Jericho.
Could be good to Jericho.
Like, think about it, right? Him, Jericho, and Kenny Omega, right? As the Golden Jets or whatever, right? That would be class.
Yeah.
Jericho's their manager, and you have literally the two best wrestlers going today together, even competing against each other, and then they can do like the little bruv thing themselves. Be amazing. Just we don't have to hear from him or put him behind a mask.
The golden bruvs.
The golden bruvs. See, that would be cool. That would be amazing.
I think Callis kind of makes sense, but I actually
Callis makes sense. Yeah.
I think he's a wee bit above that. I think in terms of the position he should come in at, I think he should be coming in as a top contender.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I mean, if he's coming in, and we said Strickland is probably going to be in that mix, you can have here. I still do believe that Sling Blade and Strickland are probably going to be your main event, but Osprey could be in there as a triple threat, if not holding the champion, and either one of them being the challenger. I could see that.
Yeah, I think Osprey is going to be main event level, but I don't think he's going to be in the title picture, because I can see Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega 3 being all in.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
And hell, even if it's not for the title, make it the main event,
Now, my question would be, would you go see that match? Would you pay to go see that match?
I would. Like, my only reticence in going to All In next year is the experience I had with the airplanes back this year, and that's not the fault of AEW. That's nothing to do with the show, but I was so traumatized by that experience. I never want to set foot in another goddamn airport ever again.
That's totally fair.
It was horrendous. And the worst thing is that they just released the layout for All In, and it looks like they're going with a much bigger set, with the audience being much closer to the ring. Because I found for most of the show I was kind of watching the monitors.
The monitors, yeah. So
and it seems that they've taken a totally different approach to how they're setting up All In next year, and a big potential Kenny Omega Will Ospreay match. I'm very, very tempted. I might be like yourself. I might be a wee bit more casual and just pick up one of the cheaper, upper echelon tickets, and just be a wee bit more casual about going. If I go,
yeah, I had a lot of fun. Even though I was half asleep and passed out on the taxi, the Uber a couple of times. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would do. But once Will Ospreay is not talking, we're having a good time. As soon as he starts talking, we're having a bad time. But I'd pay to go see him once I have a guarantee that he's not touching the mic.
Yeah, well, so look here, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega 3, that's
going to be unreal.
Huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
That would be
incredible.
incredible.
I would pay for that.
So look, I think AEW as a whole, it took them a good 6 months there to recover from all the stuff with Punk, because I imagine that they had the next year mapped out.
They had a whole show around them.
Yeah, like that. Yep. So people are going, it's been crap lately or whatever. Firstly, I don't think it has been, but secondly, I think any of the issues it has is because they've been trying to recalibrate after the guy they were building all their stories around.
So apparently the damage that he was done, that was done by him, was worse than what Russo did in WCW. That's what I hear.
Well, I mean,
that's how catastrophic the damage was.
The evidence against that is that AEW is still here.
Oh yeah.
But I can see it was enormous. They've had to do a lot of this stuff kind of on the fly, and I'm very hopeful for next year, because I think ever since All Out, it's been about them kind of restructuring and recalibrating. And I think now with this Continental Classic, which I'm absolutely hyped about and I'm really enjoying, and World's End in December, I think next year we're going to see AEW back on track. Swerve Strickland in the top spot. Yeah. Orange Cassidy in the top spot. Will Ospreay coming in. I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. Okay, so look, we're going to leave it there, and we're going to switch gears here and jump back in the time machine, because we've been trying to do this for a while, and last time I completely derailed us and talked about TNA or something. So we're going back.
I can see it going that way again. You've got 2007 in your eyes.
Yeah, I assure you, it's worth it. That show is worth it. That's the one where Kurt Angle has all the belts.
Oh, I've no doubt it's worth
It's
it.
amazing, so good, and it's peak Perk Angle as well. So, right, so we're gonna jump in here and we're gonna talk about In Your House 6, and this was from Louisville, Kentucky. Rage in the Cage. Now, I watched this again today, and I was like, wait a minute, this seems awfully familiar. And then it turns out that yes, we had indeed watched it about 3 weeks ago, had all the notes ready, completely forgot about it, and talked about TNA. So I kind of breezed over it again today.
And I gotta say, folks, while it's definitely not the worst In Your House, it's not something I would recommend you sit down and watch twice.
No, God, no, don't. No, literally do anything else. If someone says, "Oh, I want to watch In Your House number 6 again," run away from that person.
Yeah, you say, good luck with that. I'll see you in 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Because you're not going to have a good time. I wouldn't mind. The only match that actually would have appealed to me here is a dark match. And it's The Undertaker versus Goldust.
Yeah, for the IC title.
For the IC title, yeah. And I was just like, I actually would have liked to have seen that.
This must have been... So this was 96.
It was.
So this was still when they were filming out of sequence. Because did Goldust even have the IC title?
I don't think so. No, I think that's why it was a dark match.
Yeah, I think this was filmed out of sequence for Raw a couple of weeks later. It's mad how people complain how nowadays, they're killing kayfabe. It's like, lad, they used to film this stuff out of order.
Yeah, but there's no internet. Like, it would just be like you actually had to work for the dirt sheets.
Yeah, there would only be 5,000. The 5,000 people in the building would be the only ones.
Yeah, and well, no, I mean, they'd probably like have one of those old timey phones, where they'd, something would happen and they'd run to the phones.
Stop the presses.
Stop the presses. we have a new story. Goldust defeated by Undertaker via countout. Quick, print it, Charlie.
I mean, yeah, it looks like an interesting matchup, but a 14-minute countout. That's very 1996 Raw, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why they were doing terrible numbers in 1996.
The show actually kicks off with Hunter Hearst Helmsley in his latest crusade against the working class. The last time we saw him, the snooty Hunter Hearst was beating up a pig farmer, and today he's decided to assault a bin man. So, who's next in this blue collar beatdown?
I mean, who hasn't been upset that they haven't taken your bins in? When you forget, you're like, oh no, it's Thursday. And you got to go put the bins out, I mean.
A couple of weeks ago, they sent round notes saying that we could now put glass in the blue bin, the recycling bin. We're like, great. And then I went out one day and the bin hadn't been lifted. And I emailed the council going, hey, you still didn't lift me bin. And they wrote back to me going, oh, we can't. It was contaminated. There was glass in it. And at that moment, I would have been like, right, I am getting Hunter Hearst Helmsley to come down there and to beat up all the bin men.
Well, at that point, you understood his struggle.
So yeah, Triple H wins 9 minutes. I mean, it was. By the way, we keep saying the bin man. It was Duke the dumpster.
Wait, hold on. You've missed an entire match.
Oh my god! I thought that was the dark. Okay, yeah.
No,
well, I'll tell you what.
No.
We'll do this and then we'll go back to the.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
So sorry, this is the second, not the opening match. I mean, this is a fairly run of the mill sort of 10 minutes. It's fine.
It's really quite bad actually.
Yeah, do you think so? The
finish... the finish was good, but it could have been like 5 minutes shorter.
Yes,
because here's the thing, right? It isn't a competitive match. Triple H isn't like they aren't evenly matched, and it isn't a squash either. So the problem is you have this like weird in between where Triple H is going to win, but they're faffing about for about 10 minutes, and then the finish that should have happened 4 minutes ago happens, and you're like, well, why? I mean, it just took up way too much time. And that was the problem with it. Like, there was no need for it to be as long as it was.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
nobody thought
Yeah.
the dumpster was coming out of this one with the win.
No,
I
not for
did
one
think,
moment. Not
no.
for one moment.
Oh, I did think, however, that Triple H's the lady who accompanied him, Elizabeth Hilden, I thought she was hilarious because
She was.
she clearly has no background nor interest in wrestling, and occasionally Jerry Lawler would turn to her and say something about the match, and she would reply with just some total non sequitur. Like she'd clearly been given 4 or 5 phrases to say, and then she just rattled them off whenever she was asked a question, because they correlated in no way to what was happening in the ring. So, like, at one stage, Triple H is winning, like he's beating Duke Drozy down and whatever else, and JR says something about Triple H being real dominant or whatever, or, oh, you like seeing Triple H in the ring, and she, like, just blank-eyed goes, oh, well, the match isn't over yet.
You know,
Right?
no, you know what, right? Remember the old WWE games like Attitude or Warzone,
Where
where
the
they
commentary would
would just be random nonsense?
yeah,
That's what it was like.
that's what it was like. So every time they turned to her, she had this, like, stock phrase she'd been given. But it had absolutely nothing to do with what was happening in the ring.
There goes Triple H.
Oh,
Well,
what a maneuver!
what a maneuver.
Like, it's a wrist lock. But yeah, you're right. The opening match was actually Razor Ramon versus the 1-2-3 Kid in, still to this day, the only crybaby match in history.
So I didn't know these were real things, right? The first time I heard about this was in WWE 2K20, I want to say. You know the terrible one that came out?
They actually have a crybaby match in it.
Yeah. So that game is bizarre, right? Like, absolutely banana boats crazy. And I didn't know this was a thing. And you'd have a whole thing where they do a crybaby match and it's like, oh god, it's all very weird. Excuse me. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And it actually involves X-Pac. Genuinely. It involves X-Pac, right?
Oh,
So
in 2K.
in 2K, yeah. So basically, the story mode of 2K20 is you're playing as Red and I can't remember the other guy's name, and it follows their career. And X-Pac is like a central figure in that career for some reason. And there's a match back in the territory days where you face X-Pac in a crybaby match, and I'm like, that's not a real thing. That's really stupid. And it's like, it sounds like something that would have been a thing, but that sounds really stupid. No. It turns out this was a real thing, and it's just as stupid as I thought it was.
It's even stupider than you think. So for anyone listening who doesn't know, the crybaby match, it's not even really a match stipulation. It's just an ordinary match, and then the loser gets put in a nappy. So there's nothing that happens during the match. That, like, the object of the match isn't to put a nappy on someone and then you win. It's just an ordinary match, and then the loser goes in a nappy. I mean, the thing is, like, as daft as this is, Razor and 1-2-3 Kid have incredible chemistry. The big man, small man dynamic between them is great. X-Pac, or Kid at the time, is doing stuff that a lot of WWF audiences haven't seen. Like, he's doing a style that's kind of unique. And apart from the ridiculous stipulation, this is one of the better matches on the card.
It's just ruined by the fucking the random situation. It makes no sense.
Do you know what? It reminded me of a quote from from Scott Hall, and he said, you know, a lot of these guys are really. I think we might have been talking about Bret Hart. He says a lot of these guys are really particular about like their championships and, you know, their titles and their wins and losses. And it was like, dude, those are props. It's a job. You know, as long as you pay me, you can send me out there every night and beat me. And I think that's probably 99% true. I don't think Razor Ramon would have agreed to lose in this match.
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think this is the point where
he would have pulled the "doesn't work for me, brother."
It doesn't work for me, brother. Yeah, no, it's. I wouldn't say this is like damaging to anybody, but it's just like, it's just that point in wrestling where it's like, nah, lads, this is just silly, you know. And I mean, that's the whole point. I don't see what was gained from this. This seems like a punishment. You know, it seems like a punishment match. And I don't mean in like, oh, the guy who lost. It's like, no, someone was obviously booked to lose. But that's what it seems like. Seems like it was a punishment match.
Yeah, like they had a really good back and like nobody was buried. Like 1, 2, 3 Kid went toe to toe with Razor Ramon for 12 minutes. Like that's not a burial. He gets the Razor's Edge, and then Razor Ramon puts a giant nappy on him and throws a load of baby powder in his face. So, yeah, it's one of those things that it's not that it even ruins the match itself, because the 12 minutes of the match is really good. It's one of those things in wrestling where if someone walked in the room while you were watching that, you'd be mortified.
Yeah, you'd be like, it's not what it looks like, but it's like, no, it's exactly what.
I was watching porn.
It's like, no, it's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, but look, I do. It's probably the most memorable thing about this show, which it's a weird legacy to leave, and it's even weirder that 20 years later they make it a staple of a game, which has nothing got to do with anything. But yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, if you're looking to see, you know, I'm not lying. Like in 2K20, it's literally a big part of the game is X-Pac and this legacy of crybaby matches.
If you want to see Sean Waltman in a nappy, if that's your kink, if that's your thing, then In Your House 6, Rage in the Cage, that's the one for you, baby.
That's the one for you. $5.99 on the WWE Network.
We go from a small skinny man in a nappy to a large heavy man in a nappy. It's Yokozuna versus the British Bulldog.
You are covered no matter what you require.
Whatever your nappy kink, this show has it all for you. This is interesting. Not the match, it's as dreadful as it sounds. This is interesting because it's the first time Yokozuna speaks. Darragh,
I noticed that.
Did you know Yokozuna is not Japanese?
I knew he wasn't Japanese. I just didn't think he wasn't that Japanese. Like he wasn't not that Japanese. You know, I thought he would have like committed to it in some way. Nope, just talks like a regular dude.
It's actually hilarious. Like he full on even like in his Yankee accent shouts like bonsai.
No, because what's hilarious is like they make a big deal of, you know, King says at the start of the show, and we're going to send them back to Japan, and then it's like, no, like he's literally like the most American lad you can possibly think of.
Like we all know this, but if you're sitting watching this at the time and you're not like, you know, one of the readers of the dirt sheets or a smart mark or whatever, this must have been so confusing.
Like, what? Why is he American?
why is Yokozuna from Detroit? I know he's from the Samoa. He's Samoan in heritage.
He's Samoan, yeah.
He's actually from where is Yokozuna actually from? He's from San Francisco. Yokozuna, dude.
I don't know. Like it genuinely did surprise me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, I don't know what I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't that.
Well, do you know what I was expecting? Because it was 1996 WWF. So
them to just not do it?
No. for them to just do a big racist, just go out and do a Japanese accent, just go
Okay,
give it a
okay.
go.
Would that have been better or worse?
I don't
Because
honestly,
I don't know. I mean,
do you know what? His Japanese accent must have been so terrible that they just said, "Nah, look, just go out and we'll pretend you're of Japanese descent or something."
but what? See, this is the point when you have someone to talk for you, like Will Ospreay. You know, if they had they had like Mr. Fuji or something, right?
Oh yeah, like Yoko had Fuji his whole career. I don't know why they didn't have him with a different mouthpiece this time. But I guarantee you, at some stage in the run up to that match, Vince McMahon called Yokozuna into his office and had him try out a Japanese accent.
He's like, lay it on me, brother.
He just couldn't do it.
They're like,
anyway, the match is exactly what you'd expect. Yokozuna is gassed within the first 90 seconds, and the British Bulldog is not a bad wrestler, but he needs to be in there with someone good.
yes.
He's not someone to take the lead in a match.
No. And it really does show. They're both kind of struggling the entire time with this, and it's not good. It's not bad. It's just overwhelmingly disappointing.
Yeah, it's over in 5 minutes, so like it's.
That's what I mean, though. You're expecting like Yokozuna and British Bulldog to deliver, and it just doesn't. It's just kind of, it's over. Thank God for that.
It says a lot about the state of Yoko at the time that he couldn't even give you 3 minutes of fast-paced, hard-hitting, big slams, big leg drops, big turnbuckle squashes. Maybe Bulldog knocks out a couple of those real rough clotheslines or like some sort of slam, but man, they couldn't even manage that. They kind of plod around for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, even when we were watching him with Owen Hart was the one that was doing everything.
Literally everything.
Literally everything. So it was just, it's grim. It's grim. It's very, very grim. Very grim.
The match ends in a disqualification when several of the Cornette clan come running in and they handcuff Yokozuna to the ropes and beat him down. And among them is this the debut or it's the very early days of Vader in the WWF?
It is, yeah. It's when like that's a whole other thing in and of itself, which we'll probably touch on when we see more Vader matches. But it's the start of Vader's very quick appearance in WWE and the beginning of his very short appearance in WWE.
Yes. Of course, this wouldn't be the first time Vader and Yoko would team together in the WWF. The two of them were famously sent to Fat Camp by the WWF, which both of them returned from heavier. They would apparently sneak out at night. This is Yoko, by the way, who couldn't give you a 3-minute match, but had the energy to break out of Fat Camp every night and sneak down the road to a local KFC where apparently every night they would eat, him and Vader would eat buckets and buckets of chicken, just buckets of the stuff, and then sneak back into the Fat Camp. Couldn't give you 3 minutes with the Bulldog. Have you never heard that?
I know, I think you said it before, but it's just I have the visual of it. I mean, so look, someone needs to animate that, where it's like the Great Escape or Chicken Run.
So how bad were the guards that they couldn't spot Vader and Yokozuna sneaking out? It's not like they could hide behind trees or cars, or maybe if someone parked like a semi, they could.
No, but it's like, did no one notice? Like, where are they going? Where's that money coming from? How were they able to afford it? There's so many questions.
And they would have been like, lads, you've been here 6 weeks and you've put on 2.5 stone. Like,
Have you ever seen that movie Heavyweights with Ben Stiller?
No.
Oh my god! So there's this movie called Heavyweights about a fat camp with kids, and Ben Stiller's in it, right? But it was made in the 90s, and it's
So it obviously treats the issue of child weight gain with sensitivity and
absolutely
delicacy.
as you would expect. But the thing about it is, it's like the character that he came up with is actually revisited in Dodgeball.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
at the end.
Well, no, even White Goodman in general, like that's the character. Like he came up with that for heavyweights.
Oh
But
wow, I'm gonna have to look that up now.
the movie itself actually isn't too bad, to be fair. It's kind of like the Mighty Ducks, but about fat camp. And the thing about it is, it's like, yeah, that's like the plot of the movie. They're like stealing, they're like at a fat camp, but they have like they're escaping to get snacks and stuff like that. So in my head, the kids in that are just Vader and Yokozuna.
I can see. Do you remember the internet went mad there when all the Gen Xers or Gen Zers discovered Tropic Thunder, like
Yes.
15 years after it came out? Yeah, I can see Heavyweights being the next Ben Stiller film on the hit list.
I mean, but yeah, there's lots of movies that Gen Z are going to be upset once they discover are made by Ben Stiller.
So we go into our semi-main event and probably the best match on the card.
Yeah, because it's the only one with lads that can go.
Yeah, well,
Other than Razor and Kid, but that was ruined by the terrible gimmick.
the crybaby gimmick. So it's Shawn Michaels versus Owen Hart. This match is for the #1 contendership. So
Yes, so it's very important.
yeah. So if Michaels
Very
loses, he loses his WrestleMania shot at the title.
Yes.
Now, if nobody was ever in any doubt that Michaels was going to win this, but if there was any shred of doubt, that was completely disappeared the minute this started, because from the very start it is clear that Shawn Michaels is Vince McMahon's new gay. Like, he gets this introduction where he's dancing on the roof of the In Your House set. He comes down on a zip wire. He's bouncing into the ring. There's fireworks. There's everything's going off. And say, this lad's this
guy's winning.
this introduction they gave him not only gave away the finish of this match, it gave away the finish of WrestleMania 12. Like it was very obvious. Like a minute into this, it's so obvious who Vince McMahon's new boy is, and McMahon is creaming himself like from the very start. Oh my God, what a performer! What a maneuver! Can you believe this? Like, McMahon is just selling this up the wazoo. But the two of them, like, I mean, they're two great competitors, go on to have a really good match.
Yeah, you have a very good way with words, Martin. That was the most visual representation of that. It's even better than the show itself, because I mean, when you're watching it, you're like, yeah, he really is. You know, they kind of went a bit OTT there, but you mapped it out quite well. It's like, yeah, from the moment when you look at it that way, you're like, yeah, he's winning. There's no way he's not winning. You know, but I don't know. I kind of wanted Owen Hart to win a little bit, because that would have been cool. But I think
Owen versus Brett in the main event of Mania, yeah, that would have been awesome.
But I think the fact that they had Jim Cornette out there as well, and I mean, Cornette did not have a good night tonight, kind of sealed his fate as well.
Yeah.
Managers worked really hard during these shows. They were in and out all night.
Oh yeah, and like taking a few bumps across the night as well. It's not just, you know, but like I say, in terms of, so like the finish was never in any doubt, but in terms of in-ring stuff, this was probably the best match of the night.
It was, yeah, easy. Like, I mean, if the gimmick ruined the opener, which probably would have been the best match of the night, the theatrics ruined this one, but the actual match itself held together a lot better.
Yeah, and look, you're in there with Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart, like,
yeah,
two
like peak
incredible in-ring.
Peak Michaels and peak Hart, like, so there was no doubt this was going to be good.
Yeah, just brilliant. And then weirdly, and particularly for me, like a massive Bret Hart fan, a really disappointing main event.
Diesel did not care at all, man.
Just
He just
he
didn't care.
he was given, and like Bret Hart can go out there and have a match with anyone. Bret Hart can have a 4-star match with anyone, but Diesel was giving him absolutely nothing.
Have you seen the WCW when the WCW moment when Big Show walks out and he's smoking a cigarette and somebody comes over and the ring, he's like, you gotta put that out. He pushes him away. This is exactly the vibe I got off Diesel. He just was like, I don't care. I'm almost finished here. Please leave me alone. And that's
Did he know at
exactly
this
what I got.
stage that he was leaving?
I mean,
It's all very close. It's all in and around that.
it's very close. I would say he kind of knew he wanted out. But I mean, if he didn't, you kind of had to be like, okay, this was probably one of the last couple of points that he was like, no, I'm leaving. Because I think it was, when did he leave? June?
He left. Yeah, I have it here.
Is it June?
Yeah, so he went to WCW June 1996.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And this is in February, so I think this is probably when he was like, no, I'm actually like done here. You know, I have no passion for this, because you know, from the start, from the moment he walked out there, he did not care. Did not care at all about any of it. The match quality was not great. It wasn't, you know, but he was in there at the main event in the major pay-per-view with Bret Hart, and it was like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm watching Bret walk out here again, and even on his face, you can tell he's not happy. So I think what happened here is, again, I'm probably going to go back and listen to some of the lads shoot on this, but I think there was a better finish put out for this, and Diesel was like, no. And that's what I think.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, although I've heard now, this might not be this match. It might be another match, but I've heard that Diesel and Bret had a disagreement once where Diesel had suggested that they do the jackknife.
Yeah.
And then, you know, whatever the finish was happened. But Bret was opposed to it because he's like, well, if you do the jackknife and then the finish happens, it looks like you would have beaten me.
Won. Yeah.
You know, but again, that's one-sided. You know, with these locker room stories, you don't know who to believe. Whatever the case, a very rare, not great Bret Hart match, particularly for a pay-per-view main event.
But then then it didn't stop there, because then we had the stupid, and the stupid was a ridiculous amount of like fog, but like not like in a cool way. It was like there was just like, it's like somebody like left the smoke machine on, and it was like somebody's turned that off.
So
go on, you go on.
Yeah, we'll just before we get into it, we run through what actually happens.
Because
so the way
because I just want to express and underline that the stupid happens and just kills the match completely.
And it's very 1996 stupid. Yeah. So it's a Bret Hart Diesel steel cage match for the world title. 20 minutes of pretty plodding, you know, not well flowing action. Eventually, Diesel knocks Bret down. He's crawling towards the door to climb out of the cage. And the next thing, from under the ring, the Undertaker appears, cuts his way through the mat, emerges his sort of top half of his body, grabs Diesel, drags Diesel in under the ring. And then, as Darragh says, an enormous teenage disco worth of white smoke comes puffing out from under the ring. Very, very 1996. Darragh, do you know I actually don't think this would have been so bad if
The
it had
lights were off.
if the lights had gone off, if there had been some sort of thing like that happen, and if the cloud of smoke had been the end of it.
Or
Right.
okay. Here's how you change it, and he would have changed it. That's why I think they were still kind of new to this whole Undertaker thing.
Yeah.
If the lights had went off, the smoke had been tinted purple. That actually would have been all right.
Yeah.
It's the fact, you know what it is? It's like, have you ever seen a black metal band play in the day? It's
Yeah.
the stupidest thing in the world.
It's like
They
seeing
look like
a goth at the post office.
yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you doing here, you dork? You know, it's like that's exactly it. And it's like there's a reason why black metal bands don't play at 3 in the day in the summer. It looks ridiculous. You know, and that's exactly it's just your nigger standing. Like, what are you doing? This does not work. It's terrible. Really
so there
bad.
is, particularly with the Undertaker around this time, there is a way to do this goofy stuff and have it be pretty cool. So I think we both loved the end of the Buried Alive match.
Yeah, it was
where
class.
the Undertaker's hand comes out of the grave, and that's it ends on that, right?
Yes.
So if this, like you say, if they had done the lights down and the purple light and just Diesel scrambling for his life and then he disappears under the ring and then it cuts off at that, I think that would have worked a lot better. But instead what happens is Brett climbs out of the ring, out of the cage. He's declared, the winner, and he's still the champion. But obviously the camera doesn't even focus on him. He's declared the champion in bottom left of the corner, and he just walks off, he leaves. And then Diesel comes climbing back out from under the ring. So the Undertaker didn't drag him to hell or anything. The Undertaker just literally just pulled him under the ring. And Diesel comes back out, and the only thing that's changed is his trousers are now ripped. So the Undertaker dragged them under the ring to ride him, to have a go at him. What did they did we just witness a sexual assault?
It's like, what were you doing?
What the hell is that about? So Diesel pops out with his trousers ripped, naturally runs off, probably to HR. And
I
then
have some complaints.
see if he can some of Vince McMahon's sexual assault hush money. And then again, the thing you talked about earlier happens. The Undertaker climbs up on the cage and he points at Diesel and he's doing
it's so stupid.
But again,
so stupid.
It's in the middle of the completely bright, fully lit spotlights. There's no Undertaker music. There's no dimming of the lights or anything. And it's exactly, it's like seeing a death metal band, in a community park at 3 p.m.
It's like, sorry, just gotta walk my dog. Oh my god, it's terrible. It was it if you're watching it for comedy, it's actually really funny. Just the visual of it's really, really funny. And that's why, when this is edited, Martin, you need to put this to the video where it's because it's just the funniest thing ever. He's just oh, there you go. It's like anything else would have been better. The lights being off, a weird filter over it. Literally anything. Nope. They're just he's literally just there pointing in day. And it's just
under
real
the floodlights.
It's really bad. It's so bad.
Because so much of the Undertaker's character comes down to
spoopy nonsense.
Literal smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Undertaker's entire thing, and just like Bray Wyatt, God rest him, spoopy nonsense.
Yeah. And
the minute you take that away, it's all gone.
Yeah. The minute you turn the lights on, it just looks stupid.
Again, lads, rule 1 with black metal: don't do it in the day, don't have lights on, and you're fine. Same with the Undertaker,
Again, this is why we've said this several times about the Undertaker. The Undertaker's career looks amazing in video packages.
Yes. At the time, kind of ropey.
When you're actually watching it, a lot of this stuff is terrible.
Yeah. In the video package, though, best thing ever.
Oh, because you could cut it in a certain way, and you could put a filter over it, and you could
turn the lights down a little bit.
Yeah, you could do all sorts. You could edit out Grumpy Brett in the corner, storming off, going, "Bloody world champion! The main event isn't even about me."
Oh god! So, what would you give this pay-per-view? What would you grade this?
Look. Overall, as a pay-per-view, it's pretty bad. In terms of this arc so far, it's definitely not the worst in your house. Like I
know, but the bar is incredibly low.
The bar is unbelievable.
The bar is not only on the floor. It's like It's like got the elevator down to like the sub basement. That's where the bar is.
Is it in your house? Is it 2 or 3? Is the one that's always appeared on those worst ever pay-per-view lists?
Oh, I think it's 3.
3, I think. Yeah,
I think it's 3. But I mean, a lot of them have been pretty terrible so far.
Yeah, but I think I keep saying it every week because I keep wanting to finish this arc. But I think we're getting out of the woods now. Like they do, once we get to the likes of like Calgary Stampede and all that, like there's really good ones coming up.
I'm just still looking for Jeff Jarrett to show back up, and then I know we're good.
Does he?
I think he should.
6.
I think he shows up briefly, yeah.
Yeah, because he's not done. Yeah, because he comes back. He has another run where isn't this? It ends when he holds them up for the Intercontinental.
That's in 1999 where his gimmick is being a misogynist.
Yeah. Okay. So he obviously comes back at some stage, right? So that's not.
Yeah, he comes back and teams with Owen Hart and stuff like that. So it's a good time, but he's not done yet.
Yeah. Look, overall, Razor Ramon 1, 2, 3 Kid, apart from the stipulation, is pretty good. Michaels and Owen Hart, again, really good match, but
here's the thing: by the end of 2006, we get Mind Games, and that has the phenomenal
we're
Mankind
flying.
match. So we're
1996.
Yeah, we're absolutely we're in for an actually really good time, gang. So if you kind of hang out for a little while and get us through the nonsense, we're good. But we got 1 or 2 more dodgy shows to go before we get there. 3 more, and then it starts getting good.
What is the next in your house? It's
so we're 3 away from them getting good. The next one is
Good Friends,
Bitter Enemies.
And that is, what's the main event in it? Oh, we've got Shawn Michaels versus Diesel
in a no holds barred match.
What is Diesel whinging about? He's in consecutive main events. I know he's not the champion anymore, but he's fighting for the world title in this one. He's fighting for the world title in the next one. In between, he's having a top level feud with The Undertaker. What is he crying about?
He just wanted to smoke that cigarette.
He did. I don't know.
Wrestling is so stupid.
If I'm just comparing it to the other ones, I'd say C-.
That's fair. I think I would give it the same because it's not good. It's not bad. As my dad would say, it's an Eamon Dunphy pay-per-view. It's not good. It's not bad. But it's definitely one if someone says, hey, I want to watch this, you take someone home and you're like, hey, do you want something? Yeah, stick on. You run away from that person. Don't care how hot they are. You're like, no, run away.
If you are going to watch it, there's 2 things actually worth watching it for. The first
there
one
isn't
is
lies. Absolute lies.
No, there's 2 things. The first one is the absolute carnyism of WWF at the time, because this pay-per-view starts with Sunny on the beach on her knees in the skimpiest bikini you've ever seen, going, it's time for In Your House, the show that was too hot for TV. And you think, oh, what's going to happen? No, the show was rated PG. This is just complete carnyism to get you to buy the pay-per-view. So that's funny. And the other thing that's worth watching is there's a short segment in the middle of this where Goldust makes an IT guy just visibly incredibly uncomfortable by sidling up behind him with his arm around him and whispering into his ear in great detail how much he likes Razor Ramon. And how he can't wait to go cheek to cheek with Razor in the ring. You can see this tech guy, he either deserves like an Oscar for incredible acting, or he is deeply, deeply uncomfortable.
Or maybe both.
Maybe both.
A little bit from A, a little bit from B. Method acting. No, that's fair.
So,
Actually, very good shouts. Very good shouts. I mean, Goldust is still one of the best things at this point because it's so weird and bizarre.
He's brilliant at it. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, it's incredible, but it's also like, really is 1996. But yeah, man. I mean, so yeah, look, we'll leave it there. Next week we are going to talk about In Your House 2000. Sorry, in 2000. Imagine. In Your House
7.
Thank you. And then we're going to talk about Survivor Series, the return of CM Punk. And then we're also going to look at Hardcore Justice 2007, because I know I keep bringing it up every time Edge walks out, but when it happens, you'll be like, oh my God, Darragh, I completely get it. And I hope you as an audience also get it. And that's what we try to do here. We're trying to give context for why we are the way we are. Yeah. And when you see it, you'll be like, oh, this totally makes sense.
And we have to do it next week, or else Darragh will not get it out of his system.
No, I just need to get it out of my system.
We'll be hearing about it for the next.
Because every time he walks out, I'm like, oh, the bang of Andrew the Punisher Martin off him. It just like hits the screen immediately. Like, so I think the sooner we get this out of the system, it's like when you hear that song and you need to go listen to that song so it's gone.
Yeah,
that's what this is like. Also, the show itself actually is pretty decent. Really good match with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe for literally all the belts in TNA and New Japan.
Oh, loving it.
So it's very good, but it is really cringy because there's a divorce angle in the middle of it. Look, I can't wait to talk about it. I'm super excited. It's one of my favorite TNA shows.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all the belts in 2 promotions on the line. I mean, those aren't high enough stakes. You need a divorce in there.
Exactly, yeah. What I will say is it's Black Friday at the moment when we're recording, and TNA are doing like a crazy good sale. So I don't know if I talked about this last time, but when I was over in Glasgow, I was talking to some of the lads there, and TNA Euro Shop or Impact Euro Shop, they do like incredibly good deals. So if you're looking for like cheap merch, go over and buy some Impact Wrestling stuff because it's really good.
How do they have a Euro Shop and AEW and WWE don't?
Because they care about your fan. Because they care about the fans.
That's one thing that always puts me off getting like T-shirts and stuff from AEW is that I know I'm going to be charged 3 times what I should be charged for a T-shirt, and I know I'm going to have to wait 3 weeks for it to get here.
No, legitimately, like you can actually get a bunch of really good deals. I'm also very tempted to go over to First Kill.
Who's First Kill?
Impact or TNA, the first show.
You're very tempted to go over to it.
Yeah. We might have to do Bound for Glory this year.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't know, man. I'm TNA is going to be a big year this year, but I'm looking forward to getting back in, back in.
Is First Kill the first one where they're officially
TNA?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely cover that. Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, I think like this year is going to be really, really good for them. I'm looking forward to jumping back to the 6-sided ring and like getting the anticipation for like proper TNA back. So we're gonna have a good time. And then I probably won't mention anymore Andrew the Punisher Martin because
we get it out of the system.
They get it out of the system. But Martin, is there anything you want to plug before we finish up?
No, all good. Like I said, we're back on the arc. We're back on track, and I think once the Adam Copeland feud with Christian really kicks off and they get into one-on-one stuff, I think that's going to be real good quality stuff. And I think maybe, not definitely, but maybe it'll temper your views a little bit.
I hope so. Because I don't want to dislike the lad, and I don't. I mean, I was a big Edge fan, but there are problems.
Be an
And then
edgehead. It's hard to be a Copeland head.
Copehead. Copehead.
Copehead.
Copehead. Does that work? Yeah, I will plug Vampire Survivors again.
They got an update.
They did, and it's really good. But I mean, literally, if you're on an airplane, if you're in a hotel, if you're in an airport, if you're on a bus, if you're stuck on a 3-hour train journey through the UK, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Vampire Survivors will have you covered. It's my favorite thing in the world.
It's excellent, yeah. What have I been playing recently? Oh, do you know what I got? I got Escape Academy.
What's that?
It sounds crappy. It's like escape rooms.
Oh, class!
Like
Love
on the computer, but it's actually done really well. And my other weird obsession, Power Wash Simulator. They recently came out with an update based on Back to the Future. So you get to power wash like scenes from Back to the Future, like the diner and the DeLorean and the big train from Back to the Future 3 and all that. So yeah, that's been pretty cool.
You know what's wild? So I was out in Orlando, and they actually have the train and the DeLorean.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they have them both just randomly there, because there used to be a Back to the Future ride, and it isn't there anymore. So that, you know.
Oh. What do they see whenever they get rid of rides like that? Do they really just get rid of it, or do they just take down the signs and just call it something else?
Literally. So the Simpsons ride is the same ride. It's just worse.
So it's the Back to the Future just with a what is it, when they change a game like that, they just reskin it?
Yeah, no, but like it's actually like what's it? I think they've just closed the Simpsons ride now. It was the last season of it, but I didn't. I think it was there from like 10, 15 years and like that, but I didn't actually go on the Simpsons ride, so I had no idea what it was like. And I had heard that it was pretty much the same, but it's literally the same ride, but not as good. Because the Back to the Future ride had, like, you know, it was just kind of cool and kind of, you know, quiche. But this is just, it's just really bad. So yeah, so what they usually do is they just use the same ride mechanism, but we'll just reskin it for better or worse. And very often it's for the worst. So yeah, that's what happened to the Back to the Future ride. But when it does have Springfield, and then just outside Springfield, randomly, a DeLorean and a train. Just randomly just there. It's like, yeah, beside Krusty Burger. Oh, okay, that's weird.
I thought you were going to say like Shelbyville or something.
No.
DeLorean. Out here we got Springfield, and then just past there we have the 1980s.
So yeah, that's what happened.
All right.
Right, we are going to call it there, guys. We will talk to you next week here on The Wrestling Rewind. Bye, guys.
For that.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.